I trapped a ghost in a shed with a shovel, but then this happened. Spooky Encounter Storytime. 25 years ago I moved in with my cousin and her roommate/coworker Jose. The house was an old cement block 3-bedroom 1-bath house with a large fenced yard. He had 2 very large German shepherds that lived there and were mostly in the yard. The house is in Carmel, Florida in a shitty, packed suburban neighborhood. Nothing special, rent was cheap. $50 a week from what I remember, and the house was clean. Plus my cousin lived there too. So I moved in. We all got along well. Everyone worked. We pretty much kept to ourselves and saw each other for a few minutes here and there. I lived there for about 6 months. This is the story of what caused me to move out. On a weekend night we all happened to be off from work. We decided to invite some friends over from the pool hall that we frequented, and Jose invited some people over that they worked with at the pharmaceutical lab. There were probably 20 people there total. We played music and did what young people do. Eventually it got pretty late and we found ourselves talking about ghosts. We all shared stories. My cousin and I come from a pretty spooky family, so we had some good ones and everybody was really into the discussion. Jose was quiet throughout most of the conversation. He waited until we all kind of quieted down and then said, "This house is haunted." My cousin and I shot each other a look and then both laughed because yeah, sometimes Jose's 20-pound house cat would meow at the empty hallway. But that was it. He proceeded to tell us that there was a presence in the house, but that it mostly stayed in the shed in the backyard, this tiny little pink wooden shed that I had never even looked in. He told us that he always keeps the curtains in his bedroom closed because his window faces the shed and the door to the shed shut a million times and it always pops back open. It creeps him out. He said he could tell when it was in the house because he would wake up feeling depressed. It creeped me out. I didn't want to think that I lived with a presence, and I didn't like the idea that it was hurting my roommate. I was a tough chick in my opinion, and I was like, fuck that ghost. I'll shut that door and you won't have to keep your curtains closed anymore. I said all this because in my heart I didn't really believe that anything was in the shed or the house. I believed that we were fooling around. So I told them all that I was going outside to inspect the shed and deal with the door. Everyone followed me, and while we are walking around the outside of the house, Jose told me that it was a bad idea to mess with the shed. That whatever it was wanted that door open and I should just leave it alone. We all got out there and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. A very worn down wooden shed that oddly kinda looked like a tiny house more than a shed. I looked inside and there was a busted lawnmower and sold old paint buckets, some rusty screens and darkness. I looked around outside and found some rusty shovels in a corner of the garage area. I took a shovel over to the shed. I kicked the door of the shed back into the frame. The door was closed and literally kicked into the frame. Kicked shut. I took the handle of the shovel and put it under the handle of the shed door. I shoved that into the ground. It was secure. We all went back inside. We bullshitted some more, but it was late. I'm going to say 1 a.m. by the time we go back in, and everyone kind of said their goodbyes. We let the dogs out of their pen in the yard and locked the gate. We made sure the front gate was secured so they wouldn't get out, and then we straightened up the house a little, and eventually 6 a.m. I woke up because I needed to pee. I opened my bedroom door and I was sleepy still, but there was a weird sound as I opened the door. It startled me. Like fingernails scraping something coarse. I opened the door all the way and the shovel fell in the door and hit me. I can't even put into words how I felt in that moment. The shovel had been standing against my bedroom door. There was a tiny pile of dirt where the tip had been sat against the tile floor of the hallway. I rushed through the house. To the side door, which was locked, and then out to the backyard. The shed door was wide open. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I ran back into the house. I immediately pounded on both Jose and my cousin's bedroom doors. I was terrified and angry. I knew, absolutely knew that one of them had done this. I know that you, dear reader, couldn't be there to see the reactions, but I promise you neither of them did it. Jose literally started to weep. He begged me to tell him I was lying. He begged my cousin to admit that she had done it. When neither of us would take responsibility, he went to the store and got a bunch of religious candles, produced a rosary and started trying to pray whatever it was away. Or pray for me for being so stupid. My Spanish wasn't even close to fluent enough to keep up with his prayers. My cousin, on the other hand, was pissed. She was ready to fight me. She was adamant that I was pulling a prank. She cussed me up and down. She called me a liar and she said I was a child. That most of all, she didn't appreciate being woken up at 6 a.m. after a night of partying to be a pawn in my prank. When I knew that neither of them had put the shovel against the door or reopened the shed door, I was literally terrified. There was no way someone else got into the yard, past the dogs, got the shed door open and then got into the locked house to put that shovel again without someone else in the room with me. Every moment spent there after that was beyond tense. We all kind of stopped talking to each other, and Jose and my cousin ended up in a terrible argument over a button on the stereo, and she moved out within a week. It took me 2 weeks to find another place to live. I never went back. Subscribe.